see
I'm
here.
gonna be in the car for a sec, and then I'm gonna transfer to my house. Heading back
Oh,
home
that's
right now.
great. All right, right now, got a good crew. We got Will on here. We got Richard. We got John, Zach. We got Noah. Let's see who else is on here. Maybe Eric's note taker. I don't know if Eric's on here or not, but I talked with Zane a minute ago. He is not gonna be able to make it today, so it's looking like it's just the OG crew. So happy to have everybody on, which is awesome. So let's see here, Richard. I know that you and I we were supposed to be walking a site yesterday or today, even I don't even know, whatever it was, but something how it's turned out to not work. But yeah, I'll open it up to everybody right now, see what everyone's working on, some positive notes, things like that. What's going on in everyone's world?
Hey, Nolan, yeah, that got pushed out. I don't know if you saw the text, but they were doing the tenant closing, got pushed out, so they wanted to do it same day if we could. So it looks like maybe next Wednesday, the 22nd. I'll let you know.
Okay, I'll be on standby for that. That sounds great.
Yeah, man.
It's right down the street from another one of the buildings that I have, so that's great. Yeah. Again, not putting anybody on the spot. Will, John, Zach. I know I actually just was
Yeah,
speaking to John about an hour ago. We were just talking about he's one of our newer members, so I wanted to and I might have mentioned this on the last call, John, but if you'd like to give us a quick overview of you, yourself, and everything like that, be happy to. We're just excited to have you and discuss kind of our next steps and partnership together. So what's going on with you, man?
Man, I'm staying busy with my day job, but I'm trying to find the time to get my homework done and do all that. And I'm reaching out through Crexy and LoopNet and trying to build some relationships with some brokers. I've actually, I don't know, I'm sure it's that way everywhere, but when I click on a link on Crexy, it seems like the broker will get back to me in an email since I'm signed up through Crexy or whatever, and they'll send me the flyer, and I'm able to at least use that to work pro forma a little bit and find out what the what's going to take to get that 10% cap rate or whatever. And so it's kind of helping me learn by them doing that, and I'm hoping that I can maybe build some relationships with some of those brokers over time. And but I've only made, this is my second week, so I've only made maybe three or four contacts there. And I'm in the Tulsa market, so my plan is to kind of hit, like we talked about, Nolan, hit the Tulsa, Oklahoma City, and Northwest Arkansas markets. So that's where I'm at. And it's I've learned a lot. I'm trying to make sure I don't sound like an idiot to these people, and make sure I'm speaking the right language and knowing the right terminology. So in 1 week, there's been a big change, and I'm trying to just soak it all in, man. So glad to be a part of the team.
No, that's great. And I'd say this too, just as you're developing your skills, it is a little bit of a learning curve. And I think everybody that's kind of been through the boot camp would agree that initially it's like this new learning curve where you're discovering maybe some new vocabulary, you're figuring out some ratios and some metrics that maybe in residential property or even underwriting businesses is a little bit different. So it takes a little bit of time, like stick with it. But I know that eventually what will happen is in like 30 more days, you'll be able to underwrite a deal, on a back of a napkin. You can look at a site, say, okay, this either fits into my box or it doesn't. You can be able to make offers and submit letters of intents without having to walk a site just because you know the underlying value of a property. I mean, again, it takes a little bit of time, but your confidence is going to soar and it's going to increase. And I think for me, when I was getting started in this, the confidence is like 80% of it. Like the knowledge of the game is the knowledge of all the ratios, the metrics, the debt service coverages, like all that stuff is important. But it's like your confidence as an investor is what ends up selling the seller to leave money in the deal, the banker to finance you the deal, the confidence to have the tenant renew the lease. Like you as the investor and your confidence of what you're doing and what you believe in is what's going to end up making, you know, people want to contribute and collaborate with you. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
That's what I've
Yeah,
discovered.
I agree. This is going to take time, so I'll keep working at it, and I'll get there.
That's it. No, again, it will go by faster than you think, but you'll be like, damn, I've really like grown as an investor over these last couple of weeks and months. And you're like, wow. I can't believe I'm like looking at a $4 million site and I don't have any. I'm speaking more for myself. I'll look at a $4 million site. I have not only no fear, but I'm like, this is just another base hit down the middle of, I don't have a fear of like a multi-million-dollar deal at this point. It's just like it's very unemotional. It's very matter of fact. What are the numbers? What is the math? Does it make sense or not? And finding a way.
Right.
So a thought there. But no, man, thankful, excited to have you, man. And most importantly, get in tight with some of our other members and everything. And if you have the opportunity, we'd love to have you at our live event that comes up next month, the week before Thanksgiving. That's in Birmingham. I know, I believe Zane has mentioned it already, but
Yeah.
you got some availability for that, so we'd love to have you for that as well. So that'd be great.
Sounds good, man. Thank you.
Cool. All right. Yeah. So Will, I know you've been chomping. So what's up with you, man? What's happening in your world? I know
Yeah,
we were texting this morning too.
yeah, no, 100%. So, I mean, that met with those guys yesterday, with Derek specifically, and it seems like they're doing some big things up in New Hampshire. I guess New Hampshire, they have some emerging markets that they're getting some good deals on that multifamily stuff. But I was like, look, our team is more so on the light industrial side. They just bought out, I want to say they just bought a 30,000 square foot warehouse. They got three tenants in there right now. So they might be trying to grow that portfolio. He was talking about how, he's been trying to approach bigger deals that are in like the $6 to $8 million mark, but they're having trouble raising capital. And I was just like, I was like, Nolan would be a good guy to talk to. We don't necessarily specialize in the multifamily stuff, but if there's an opportunity that makes sense on our light industrial side, we can do big numbers like that. So, it's worth a conversation at least to see what's going on with them. Similar type of intentions with them as far as investing and getting into the side of commercial. So that's that. But I'm going to share my screen real quick. I'm finally starting to get some deals come through that make somewhat of sense from these brokers I've been meeting with. I'm gonna
Yep.
send a request real quick.
Sure. And I'd say this too, to piggyback off what Will was saying for everyone, is just because our focus is always light industrial, that doesn't mean that you, a partner, whoever you're running with in your town, doesn't have appetite for something else. And we can introduce, that deal to a lender that we have, another investor partner, like anything like that. Like, right. I and I was telling John this earlier today, and you guys, I believe all know this, but the focus on why, and then we can go over this. Will, I want to look at what you're talking about, but I think it's important for y'all to again discover and understand those four physical attribute metrics: the 10 to 40,000 square feet, the 16-foot clear heights, multiple roll-up doors, less than a mile off the highway. Those metrics, I didn't just like pull out of a hat next to a rabbit. I said, what is the largest tenant pool in the United States that has gross revenue between $3 and $10 million? So not some conglomerate business that I have to deal with an attorney in Illinois, but also not a mom and popper that's has a pad and a pen that's they're doing their balance sheet and their profit and loss, right? Like I'm dealing with an actual business. And those businesses, there's 1.2 million businesses in the United States that are in that little silo of revenue. And I am essentially chasing those tenants because, again, I can have an individual relationship with the owner, and I'm also not dealing with somebody that's not sophisticated. And they rent, that's the largest, whether they're owner using or whether they're renting, that is those spaces. Like that's the space. And when you take one of those attributes away, it's like, for example, again, let's say the site was 6,000 square feet, not 10 to 40,000. You essentially reduce your tenant pool by about half. It doesn't matter which one it is. If it was, again, if it was 10-foot clear heights, right, not 16 foot. If it was only one roll up door, whatever. Or if it was 3 miles off the highway, you essentially decrease the tenant pool in the United States by about half. So I only say that I'm so focused on those attributes because it gives you the largest tenant pool, again, which essentially reduces vacancy if one of your guys moves out. But most importantly, it increases the deal's bankability, right? So, like a bank is going to be able to lend you money because of how you are purchasing property. And when you send that information up to your lender, they're going to think that you're so sophisticated and you're like, you got this idea and strategy. You have a much more likelihood of being able to borrow money. So that's kind of how that all came to be. Before you jump in, Will, does anyone have a question or thought on that? Like how that whole idea works? Cool. All right. Awesome. Okay. Yeah, Will, go ahead, brother. Show us what
Cool.
you got.
First off, I think that the attributes make a ton of sense, man. You want the biggest opportunity for people to rent out your spot. If you limit yourself, you're just going to end up shooting yourself in the foot because you're paying money out to debt without a tenant. So I
That's
agree. But for this one, let's get into the due diligence a little bit here. It didn't meet that 10,000 to 40,000 square foot. This one's 3,300 square feet, unfortunately, but it is 16 foot. Root ceilings, we got three roll-up doors, and two of them are pretty big. This one is like 2.5 miles away from the highway, so it's not under a mile, but it came pretty close. If we offer it at the rate that I want, we can get to that 10 cap. It's above a 1.4 debt service coverage ratio, between 1 to 5 million, and above a 1.2 global. So take a
nice.
look at these numbers real quick. So right now, the situation is the current owner is an owner user, and he is on this right side. So that takes up 1,300 square feet of the 3,300. He's willing to do a lease buyback or lease back for that 1,300 square feet for $2,000 a month. I can replace him if I want to also. That's an option. The other side of the 2,000 square feet over here is leased out for 2,800. And the really cool thing that made me interested about this property is they have a billboard on the property right here that does
Nice.
$18,000 a year, and it has the option to negotiate for more. And it's a really good looking billboard. You can see right here, like that's in good shape.
Nice.
So per month, this building throws off $6,300, including that monthly income from the billboard. So, I mean, we're looking at a $22 per square foot rent, and I think that's pretty dang good. But right now, what they're asking with 1.2, it's at a 6.3 cap. The only way for this to really make sense is if we lowball them. If we come in at 750, that puts us at a 10 cap. And then the numbers kind of shake out like this. Debt service coverage ratio 1.55, which is decent.
Yeah.
And then our global debt service coverage ratio is 1.26. So not the greatest if we do seller financing, but it fits within
Still penciled.
our requirements.
I
Uh,
go up before you keep going, Will. I like scroll back up if you don't mind. This is
yeah.
for everybody here. So the two numbers that are going to stick out to me initially is the rent per square foot of almost 23 bucks a foot.
Mhm.
You know what the market rent per foot is. Also, is it triple net or is it a gross modified lease because you have two tenants? Do you know what the type of lease is?
So when he hit me up, this is what I said back to him. I was like, "Hey Juan, thanks for jumping on with me today. I really like the added income from the billboard, and the roof looks to be in good shape. I guess they just replaced the roof. You can see that. After running the numbers, I'm not sure the seller will be happy with the offer that makes this deal make sense for us. Although I would like to try and explore it further. Could you shoot me some answers for the questions below? One, why is the seller motivated? Two, is he open to financing the equity? Three, as far as the lease, is the owner willing to do a triple net for his lease back? How long is he willing to stay on board for? What's the deal? Is it triple net or gross with the current tenant? And what's the remaining term on that? And that's where I was kind of waiting for an answer from him on those questions. So, if he comes back and he says it's gross, I don't know if this makes sense anymore.
It wouldn't. I mean, if he's asking 1, 2, and you're responsible for all the expenses, he's basically asking at like a freaking 3.5 cap rate, which is comical, right?
Yeah,
Now,
yeah.
again, I don't necessarily knock someone swinging for the fence on asking price of a
Mhm.
deal, but also they're not targeting you as the buyer. They're targeting a 1031 exchange buyer. So that's
Mhm.
one thing. The two things that I would go back and get information on, again, like I said, the rent per foot, which is they're asking, or they're getting roughly 23 bucks a foot. and that's gross. So that's not even including what the nets are if you have to pay the expenses. So
Mhm.
that's one thing you should get your eyes on. Maybe you have an existing lease, even with the owner user, he should probably have a lease between the owner user and like his business. If he
Mhm.
has that, request that. But then
Mhm.
also the price per foot of $227 a foot. I don't know the market, but that seems extremely high. I mean, what do you know?
Yeah, the
You know what
market's
the market is? Like light
between
industrial needs to
100.
trade at like $100 a foot at most.
South Florida is definitely overpriced. Specifically, Palm Beach County is what I've found. That's why I'm kind of trying to attack Treasure Coast, which is, if you're familiar with it, Vero Beach down to where this is in Port St. Lucie. And it's still a little bit high. Like the brokers that I've talked to are like, hey, you got to start looking in kind of like some hodunk areas in Florida, like Ocala, Central Florida, stuff like that. So, I mean, this is definitely a little bit high at 227. I'd say, we can find properties between 100 to 200, but it's going to be in between that range.
There's
Um,
just no meat on the bone. Like that's the way that I look at it. Like if these guys are really motivated, like and again, this is coming from um one of my mentors that always taught like when he was, he does like apartment flips where he'll buy something for 15 million and sell it for 28 million like 3 months
mhm.
later. He's like he's got the Midas touch. I mean, it's unbelievable. But I say all that he would always recommend when you're buying or selling something, you always got to leave meat on the bone. Like leave your buyer an opportunity to increase revenue somehow, whether that means that, like in this case, this tenant hasn't signed a new lease yet. So you got them trading at 2,000 a foot, 2,000 a month. Maybe you can bang them for 3,000, right? Or whatever, right? It gives you an option, an opportunity to increase rent or increase income, but when you're backed into a corner like this, now again, I don't know this deal, right? I mean, I'm just kind of we
Yeah,
you
no, dude, give me
six
give me it to
minutes
me
ago,
straight.
right? But I
Absolutely.
look at it and think the red flags initially are I don't know what the rent per foot is in the market. $23 a foot feels
You're
high.
looking at like it's definitely high, and that's because we have I put the added income of the billboard.
That's fair.
But
That's fair though.
you're
That's
looking
fair.
between 13 to 15.
That's
So
fair.
I mean, if we took that 18,000 divided by 12, that's $1,500 a month. So 6,300 minus 1,500. Sorry, I'm terrible with math. 4,800. You're really looking at 17, which is still high. 13 to 15 is realistic for what you can get from tenants in this area. So
Educate me. Does that billboard actually is it on the parcel or is it his own? I mean, or is it just like a lease that they have with some
So that's
company?
more another question I was going to ask them. Like, do you guys have a deal with a marketing agency that sells this ad space for you and you do a split? Like, how does that work out? The only info that I have on that is that it does $18,000 a year right now and it can be negotiated to do more. So,
Sweet.
and coming from a marketing background, 1,500 bucks a month for a billboard is pretty damn cheap.
Yeah, that seems crazy cheap.
So that
Why
may
not
be
just charge
their,
10,000 and just see what they say?
oh my God, yeah, right.
Why
But
would
then
you
again,
not just
like
try and swing for the fence?
I don't know their deal with, if it is a marketing agency, how much of the split that they get. The marketing agency is probably taking more because they're doing the sale. I guarantee they're selling it.
I see.
So either way, definitely going to figure out some more info on this. And these two that I'm showing you right now, like I know in the back of my head, these aren't incredible deals, but I'm finally getting something that I
Good.
can work with enough to have conversations with these guys and start to get to know them a little bit more and show them that I'm serious about it. And so they
Nice.
sent, but here's the second one that was pretty interesting. Let me switch to this pro forma.
Well, and another thing on top of that too, Will, is like you said, you're putting yourself out there and you're underwriting deals, which gives you reps. It's like reps in the cage, man. Like, and eventually you're going to get into the plate and there's going to be a fastball down the middle. You don't swing for it, that kind of thing. So
Exactly.
this
And
is
by
good
that time,
reps in the cage.
it just becomes second nature,
That's it.
and it's,
That's right.
like how John was saying, the terminology and the language and learning how to speak to these guys, it all helps. So
Yes,
uh,
100%. That's
this
good.
one's pretty cool. So like they have this retail office here, which is actually pretty big. It's what's the square footage?
Is that
30.
warehouse in the back? Is that included?
Yeah, that's included. So you
Nice.
have this retail office that's 3,600 square feet, and then the warehouse in the back is 6,000 square feet. So you have kind of like office space, but it's more like a showroom. So if you find like someone that is in, home goods that sell shades or tile or stuff like that, they could use this front office to sell, and then all of their inventory and distribution can run out of this office. So I feel like that is a pretty good, quality to have for that type of business that would require that. But either way, right now, from what I
Where is
understand,
Stuart, Florida?
Stewart is like, okay, so do you know where West Palm Beach is?
Yes.
West Palm Beach goes up to Jupiter,
Okay.
and Jupiter goes to Stewart and Port St. Lucie. Like I'm in Hope Sound in between Jupiter and Stewart.
Understood.
So
Okay.
I'm trying to keep it within like an hour and a half right now of a drive.
Nice.
So if I ever need to go to these properties, it's not like I'm driving 5 hours to get there. But if I have to, I'll do it. But
All right.
see what's up. But either way, that's kind of the idea for this one. Currently, right now, this design center, that's what it is, that's rented out. It's month to month. And then half of this warehouse is rented out month to month. So there is income. And my conversation with him, let me pull this up. He came at me like kind of hot. He was like, that's on the main road. I was like, what were rents again? Like 13 a foot. He goes, that's on the main road with retail in the front. If you got the right use in front, you could probably get a little more in the back. I'd say 13 to 15 gross. He goes, bring me an offer for 1.4. Let me see where he really is. He is motivated to sell. And I didn't respond. I let it sit there. And then
Nice.
he goes, or even 1.3. He knows
Nice.
he
Nice.
goes, he knows we are listed high. So I come back
That's
to him.
awesome.
I'm like running the numbers. Initial offer will prob come in a little lower than 1.3, considering those leases are month to month. I need some
And
leverage
their
here.
gross lease. You mentioned that. So scroll down, Will. Did you put the costs in there?
Yeah, so yeah, I did put I took them out because I was doing this with Zane.
Okay.
But when I looked it up, the property taxes were 13,000, and then for the insurance I put 6,500. Because for that purchase price, that should be where the insurance shakes out to.
Ooh,
Um,
that's low, brother.
yeah, I know. So I was just like, I'm meeting with the guys tomorrow to chat about this. My only two questions are, would the seller be open to financing the equity? Two, if we go under contract, would they be open to a contingency period that allows us to source stronger tenants and lease agreements? But if we fail to source the tenants, we have the ability to leave the deal. He came back and he was like, I already had an offer at 1.2 and he wasn't interested. He will do a traditional seller financing. I can get you 30 to 60-day due diligence. So he said he doesn't know if he would let me market it though to tenants. So I don't
One,
know.
one thing, one thing I would recommend too is, and this is just for again everybody here, is I would, again, I'm not being derogatory. I'm just simply using, change the vocabulary from would he be open to changing it, would he be opposed?
Okay.
Would you be a would he be opposed to doing this? Would he be opposed to doing that?
Hmm.
What I've discovered
Corporate
is
mentality.
it most people, what is a sales structure like? Oh, just find a way to get them to say yes. But what I've
Hmm.
discovered on the other stand is like if you can reduce like the sales resistance and like, hey, I'm thinking about doing this. Would you guys be opposed to this? Or
Hmm.
if I was to say, hey, would you be open to this? I'm much more. It almost creates this scarcity or like I might maybe I'm open to it. I don't know, but I'm not opposed to it. I guess it just changes. I know it sounds really silly, but if you can, whenever you're asking guys, hey, would you guys be opposed to this? Most people are not opposed to things. Like
Hmm.
a lot of people are against things, but they're usually not opposed to things. So if
Hmm.
you can next time that you just offer things, hey, I know that your guy just said that, make me an offer for 1.3. Would your guy be opposed if I made an offer at 1.3 what he's asking and then leaving, 400 grand in the deal?
Hmm.
And then it's
Okay.
just like this little thing. You can say, look, you got a guy right here. We got funding that we can do this deal on. Like very nonchalant, very confident. This is what our offer is. If you're not opposed to it, man, I'll shoot this offer to you this afternoon. I'll send you an LOI at these numbers with
Hmm.
these terms. Who
Hmm.
says no to that? Who says no? Nobody's opposed to that,
Hmm.
But if you
Yeah.
say, hey, are you open to me sending this offer that has all these contingencies? He might not be into that. But
Yeah.
you might not be opposed to it.
It's the same thing as the opportunity. I'm offering an
I'm
opportunity
offering
versus
you an
I'm
opportunity. I'm
asking.
not asking you for anything. I'm just offering you something,
Yep.
It's like that
Yep.
same kind of thing. So like, I mean, I would go back to that dude and just say, "Hey, are you guys the pros? I'm gonna make this offer at $1.35 million. He'll leave $400,000 in the deal, and I have these contingencies. You guys opposed to me sending that offer to you? No,
Hmm.
opposed to receiving that. It sounds good. And just
Yeah.
the offer, send the LOI to him with that, with
Yeah.
contingencies of like, hey, you have the opportunity to, to market the space. You have the right, but not the obligation to market it. This guy, you have the right to get your eyes on the lease, to negotiate the lease while under contract. Like, make every single contingency off of like what you're working on, and you just never know how motivated this cat is. I mean, again, we did a deal before where I think I mentioned one of the buildings I have where the guy's wife, he was he wasn't even retired from the business, but he was like, my wife is literally gonna not leave me, but she's going to the beach without me if I don't sell this building before this date. And we closed a couple of months beforehand. But I'm saying though, you just never know why people are literally like wanting to sell. So
Yeah.
just make your ridiculous offer, have absolute confidence in it, stand behind it, and then if they tell you you're crazy, well then tell them to kick rocks, kick rocks,
Yeah.
whatever, that
I
kind of
definitely I didn't want to come in at one
oozing confidence.
100%. I didn't want to come in at 1.3. I thought 1.25 gives us a little bit of leeway with the 10
Sure,
cap at that point.
sure, sure.
And this is considering that we're at a $13 rent. Like he thinks we can get to $15, that can make it a bit more worth it. But with these expenses, we're still at a 1.56 DSCR, and then we're at a 1.27 global. So,
If you
you
want to
know,
be a savage, Will, if you want to be a savage,
I want to be a
what you can
savage.
do is, yeah, if you want to be a real savage, I've done this in the past and it was like, it worked. So, I'll give you the story and I'll tell you what you can do. Basically, I had a tenant that was considering moving out of one of my sites. And I said, hey, I'll do one better. I will actually find that site for you. I'll even get the I'll even hire the moving company for you. I'll get you a quote to move everything out too, like just to make it so much easier on you. And he got the quote. And I said, by the way, I've also got the storage facility that you can rent from while you are, moving your site from where you are now. Also, do you need does your employees that are not going to be working for 3 months because they're moving out, do they need jobs? Like I was like so ridiculous about it. I said, hey, if they need somebody to earn income from, they can probably come work for me. I can find them a job. But then also that those other 3 months while you're moving into the new space, I was just like I was introducing all of these things that they didn't think about, they didn't consider. Like
Yeah.
again, the moving company, the storage facility, the income that they weren't earning because they were moving, and then
Mhm.
what that total price was going to be. And I said, I've got all these things lined up for you. You can go call these guys. And then they end up signing a 5-year lease with me. So maybe what you do on something like this is while you're in due diligence, go find some random like vacant warehouse somewhere and say, hey, this is what you can expect. This is the price to move all your stuff out because you're month to month. Because I'm on the prowl to find another tenant to occupy this space. You
Mhm.
know that you're on 30-day month to month. I will kick your ass out once I find that tenant that I want to occupy. So
Mhm.
here are my recommend. You say these are my recommendation. This is my moving company recommendation. This is my easy storage recommendation. This is my do something crazy like this is my recruiting director for they recruit for people that are wanting to be working remote because your employees are probably going to want to work remote because they're not going to have a job because they're not making any money. And you just like fill them in with all this information and then you tell them they're going to basically be bailed in 30 days and they're going to absolutely say you can do all this stuff, or if you want to renew this lease with me, it's a 5-year lease at these terms.
Mhm.
And you just like present them everything for them already and show
It
them the
also
cost,
kind of
and
offers
they're
the
going to be like,
opportunity
oh my God.
if they do like what you have to say, and you're like, well, we don't, that maybe we've outgrown this space, or for whatever reason they are looking to move after those 30 days. It's like, okay, I'll just buy another building. We'll sign a lease over there,
There you go.
double
It's so
up.
rare. Like, dude, the cost to move though is unreal. Like it never makes sense because like even in this existing space, this Palm Bay retail office and warehouse space,
Mhm.
the this space, I could be wrong. I don't know Stuart, Florida, the way I know Birmingham, but
Mhm.
I would be willing to bet even to move this 10,000 feet of 9,000 feet of office, 96,000 feet, 600 feet of office. this is going to be $200,000 to move. Not only in moving costs and holding costs and employee retention, and not to mention too even benefits that the people have to pay. And then also it's another 3 months to even get that first, because most of their contracts are probably net 90s. So if they go and sell something at 90 days before they actually get paid on that contract, I'm telling you, it gets expensive if they don't have a site to actually operate out of. So
Mhm.
um, it's just a savage little play where you can just offer them get out, or you can do what I'm proposing and offering, and it's this. And this is a
Mhm.
much better location because it's so much cheaper.
Paint the negative vision of their future.
That's right. That's right.
Give
And,
them a
and they
good
have that
view.
choice. They have that choice to make, but also too, they won't make the decision. It will make no sense. It will make no sense. Because you can
Gotcha.
say, you can hit him with probably in the lease, you can hit him with a 30 days to vacate. You say,
Mhm.
here's all the information. I'm also out there shopping other tenants. So if you don't have all these people in line, that's no problem. But if I do find the right tenant to move in, you have to get out in 30 days, or they have to pay an overcharge, which is like double the rent or whatever, whatever's in the lease.
Got
So
you.
you can pin them in a corner, and you can say you can go through this route, which is really difficult, or we can do it this way, which is sign a 5-year lease with me at $24 a foot, triple net. That's what I
Hey,
would recommend. I'm not your advisor, but I would recommend this. Bam, and knock them down. Sign them up, refinance it, or pop it to somebody else.
love it. Love it. All right, cool. I'm gonna take that. I'm gonna hit this guy Matt Crady back up. Me and Zane will probably work on, how we're gonna position that email. But yeah, I mean that sounds great. But
I
that's
love
what I
that.
got for right now. He sent me a few others, but they were vacant. I just told him I was like, send me anything you got, because I want to just have him sending me stuff. But those are the only
Keep this
ones.
up for a second, Will, if you don't mind. I would like to see if Richard or John or hey Matt, what's up, dude? Or Noah or anybody. I see Caleb and Zach's on here. Do you guys have any thoughts or opinions or questions on just the way that we kind of went over that? I don't want to just totally take up everything, or Will and I take it all up, but I want to be engaging. Does anyone have thought or question on that, or how they can improve that as well?
Hey, Nolan.
You know?
I got something for the warehouse with the billboard. So
Okay.
I'm part owner of two billboards right now.
Nice.
And typically what we do is we give 20% revenue to the property owner. So
Mhm.
whatever that 18,000 is, would be 20%. And also they told you have the ability to negotiate more. Typically those leases are 15 to 30 years long.
Mhm.
So I'd be careful. Like I'd get your hands on that lease, and just see what that looks like.
See that yeah, that'll come through in due diligence.
Yeah.
Because I mean that's one of the things that makes this property attractive to me. If we didn't have that billboard, I really wouldn't be interested in this at all.
Yep.
Another property that I showed Nolan a couple weeks ago was similar to this. It was like a split space where there was like it's two buildings essentially, but it's one split in two. I don't know how to explain, but they're auto service based businesses. I'm pretty sure these are both auto service based businesses. And, based on the environmental site assessment, Nolan was recommending, you don't usually see good site assessments with those types of businesses. There's a lot of chemical oils, things like that lying around. So, I wasn't crazy about it, but the billboard made it make a little bit more sense. If I do continue to move forward with this, I'm definitely going to see what's up with the billboard lease.
Yep. Yep. There you go.
Noah, can you educate us real quick? I'm actually curious too. I don't own anything with billboards. Like, how did you get into that? And then what's your recommendations on underwriting like a billboard lease?
Yeah. Well, I'd say part of the reason I'm here now on this call is because I got involved in billboards. So let's take it back 2 years ago. I'm 20 now. I was 18. I had a buddy. His dad owns a roofing company. He bought a billboard. Um, for whatever reason, he told me he's like, this billboard's 52 grand a year, and I'm thinking that I mean, just a piece of vinyl costs your dad 52 grand a year. So I just look. All the business owners I'm going to are light industrial, right off the highway. But it was never the guys that were actually working there or running their business out of, which is how I stumbled upon you. So underwriting it, I mean, it's pretty easy if your town allows, if the city ordinances allow for a billboard. I mean, there's probably 100 of them around. You just call up the guys on the billboard, say, "What's the market rent here?" Um, you get that market rent, and then you figure out how to get one in the ground. So,
Is there permits that you have to pull?
oh yeah, yep. It's about the last thing that a city wants done, because they're an eyesore. So,
I discovered too, Noah, and you probably on this. Like I was considering developing a site like off the highway before I-20. And not only do you have to discover permitting and everything, but also if there's any neighborhoods around, they'll do light studies where the light that comes off of the billboard, like how that affects going into people's houses and stuff. It's like a whole thing. You got to pay for it all before you even get the permit to develop it. So you can be in the hole like 60 grand and you might not even get the permit. And you're just like burned 60,000 bones. It's like
yep,
it is a racket. It's a racket otherwise. I mean, honestly. Um,
yep,
but like you said though, the guys that are banging 50 grand a year in billboards, I mean, it's 30-year leases without any maintenance. I mean, it's
nothing.
probably about as
Yep.
passive as you can get them, you know?
Yep. Once a year, you got to find out if they're going to renew, if the company's going to renew their message, and other than that, you kind of just sit back, kick your feet up, and
Wow.
watch football.
That's how many times you change it out, just once a year.
Yeah, but if you can find like a regional player, like a McDonald's, I mean, you could get a 5 to 10 year ad up there. But
Yeah.
yeah,
Wow. Strong.
And then how much does the cost of that ad, like how much does it cost you to put the ad on there?
I'd say there's two different sizes. So this is like a 12 by 25 on this site here. And then a 14 by 48 is the ones off the highway, the big ones. Usually covered by whatever the Steinger company is. They're going to cover all the installation cost, the cost to print the vinyl.
Mm-hmm.
They find a lot of value in having their message up there. So,
No doubt.
yeah.
Okay.
Very cool.
Yeah, that's good information.
Yeah,
Mhm.
maybe that's the move then, Will, is if you're gonna go and continue to inquire on this site, get the lease on that thing and just see what it looks like. That way, maybe you can negotiate something or you can actually underwrite the deal more intrinsically without, hoping or praying or knowing what the math could look like. Maybe that extra $18,000 a year is just bonus money, right? I mean, who
Yeah.
knows, right? I don't know, but
Yeah.
it's like
And
a good location.
Mm-hmm.
and I mean, say you have 5 years left on this billboard lease, the company, and you don't want to renew it. The company's not going to want to come in and tear it out of the ground. You can buy it from them, and you're making whatever that is, the 90 grand a year just off the billboard. Um, all you got to do is call a couple companies in the 5 mile radius and see if they want their ad up there.
Yeah.
Or an
So,
injury.
At that point, just putting a little elbow grease on the sales side and
yep.
make it happen. Quadruple. Well, if you're making 20% as a company, so you're saying that this billboard is most likely 100% owned by the building owner.
I'm saying it's most likely not.
It's most likely not.
There's like a number on the bottom right. You see 17,264. That's going to be a large company that came in, offered that property owner 20%.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So, and they've been making 100 grand for probably the last 25 years off that billboard. So,
Yeah, sure.
That's remarkable.
yeah,
Crazy. All right, cool, dude. I appreciate the insight, Noah.
absolutely. I don't know a
Hey,
whole lot.
Nolan, I got a question for you. How often is it required for you to renew the environmental on a site?
Is a bank requiring or asking you to do a phase one?
No, I was just wondering on average.
I would say I've never been asked to renew an environmental.
Okay.
I would
So
say
they
that
have,
when they initially lend you the money, they're going to probably require it. And,
okay.
you know, and I've discovered too that a lot of those environmental studies, if they come back sideways, it's usually in a floodplain. So if it's not like in a gas station or something, right? But we have tanks in the ground. But
Mhm.
uh, if the bank is lending you money, so if you're about to buy $1 million site, and there's already been money lent on the deal, call that bank and they'll lend you the money probably because they've already either got the environmental on their file or they're comfortable with the tenant and they don't feel like they're exposed to risk with that location. But I've never been
Okay.
asked to go and renew an environmental study. I just I
Have not something
personally
you've
haven't
seen
had
yet?
it. Sorry.
I was gonna say it's not something that you've seen yet or they've asked for.
No, I mean it's especially
Okay.
again, if there's already debt on the building. It's almost like even if you have a new bank that's coming in to finance something, 9 times out of ten, again, don't hold me to this gun to my head, but if some other chartered bank is lending money, another bank will recognize that and see that, hey, this other bank took this risk with this borrower and this tenant will probably have the same risk appetite as them, and we won't require, or if there is something on file, they'll just accept the existing phase one on file.
Okay.
So, and usually a phase one isn't really that expensive anyway. And if you have to do it, you can usually wrap that cost into the mortgage anyway. So it doesn't end up costing you any money out of pocket.
Mhm.
Okay. That's good. Okay, that's good to know.
So yeah, the appraisal, the phase one, usually it's run at 5 or 6 thousand bucks. The bank will allow you to wrap those costs into the mortgage. And unfortunately, if you do a deal or you're doing a deal and it goes sideways and you don't close, the bank the bank's going to eat that cost, but if you do call them back to do another mortgage, they're probably going to ask you to pay for that stuff, that kind of thing. So you can get
Okay.
away with it for as long as you want until you call them up to do some more business with them.
Refinance, you mean?
Yeah, or just call a different bank and say, hey, you call. I did this with West Alabama Bank like 2 years ago. Um, I was buying a building, and I was, basically the one of the deals fell through and they appraised it for 4,000 bucks, and then I bought the building with another bank like a year and a half later because the seller was motivated, and then it was actually like right at a year, so we used the same appraisal, and then I went and bought another property with the same bank. He's like, dude, we really need you to reimburse us for that appraisal from like a year ago. And I was like, seriously, I'm about to borrow from you guys 1,000,004, and you're talking about $3,900 or whatever it was. And he's like, I'm telling you, my loan officer has this like vendetta out for you right now. He's got this vendetta out. And I was like, dude, I'll write you a check. It's not a big deal. But he thought like he thought I was just like some kid that was trying to screw him over and whatever. And I was like, dude, I didn't. You never called me. You never told me that that was a problem. And so, again, ever since then, they've grown up and they've lent me some. We've done some deals together. But it was just like, I'm like, dude, don't hold any grudges. That's weird. You're being like a kid. Grow up. But neither here nor there.
Hey, Will, on your property, have you walked that property yet? The one that has a 7.28 cap rate?
No, I haven't yet. I mean, I've just got in touch with these guys earlier this week. They sent me them. I sent them back a couple questions. So, when they come back to me, I'll probably schedule a site walk just to check it out. And mainly to build a relationship with those guys. But yeah, I haven't been out there yet.
Yeah, I'll say make sure you do that because I just did like a video walk with one in Atlanta, and on the pictures it looked, I would say, pretty decent. But
Mhm.
like once you saw it in person on the camera, I mean, the majority of that property needs major renovations.
Yeah, yeah.
So if
That's
you
pretty
want,
typical, I feel like, in all real estate. They're gonna prop it up to look as best as they can.
That's
And
right.
then,
yeah, lots of
after
lots of lots
renovation.
of Photoshop.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
um,
100%. Any property that I'm looking to take seriously, I'm 100% gonna walk. But yeah, for these, I just gotta wait till these guys get back to me and then probably do that.
yeah, yeah, because you can also use that in negotiating, see how in quotes motivated they are. Um, because like you can offer them much lower, kind of like if you're buying a house. If you
Mhm.
bought a house, same concept.
That was one thing that kind of worried me at the beginning. It was like, okay, one, I got to figure out structurally, what leads to the integrity of these buildings and certain things like, is it the roof? Is it the HVAC? What is it? But two, I was like, if something's really messed up, it kind of worried me a bit, but now I'm looking at it as, well, if it's messed up, I can get this at a discount. So, there's more value there. So
I love it. I love the dialogue back and forth. That's awesome. Yeah. If anything else, too, going on what Kayla was mentioning is, I feel like the days are over where people are buying sights unseen. I feel like there's a lot more sophistication now where you can, again, do video walkthroughs and things like that. So, great call on no matter what. I would totally recommend spending $1,000 on a round trip flight and a hotel for one night to buy $1 million site versus just hoping and praying that it looks as good on on Zillow or on LoopNet or whatever. That's a
Yeah.
much that's a great investment in, and not to mention too, just being in person, walking the site, meeting the broker, going out to dinner afterward, like getting to know the bro. And I've said it before, but like getting to know the broker, like their family, their if they have children, what they like to do for fun. Like in my book, that's the relationship game that we're all chasing. And I really mean it when I say that that's to me is the most important piece is like when someone realizes that you're not just focusing on the transaction, you're actually thinking long range and you're like trying to get to know them as a person. It You end up being like the first guy that they think of when a deal pops up because you weren't just like only talking about deals. Like, you're like, hey dude, so oh man, you play golf over at this. How are the greens? Like you don't give a shit about golf. Who cares? But you were asking questions about stuff that they're into, right? Oh, your daughter plays volleyball. Awesome. So did they travel? Did they go on the road last week? Like how she's playing? Is she? I don't know much about volleyball, but like or softball or whatever. Just hey, your son plays football. Okay, what position does he play? I mean, it's silly, but stuff like that really does matter in the grand scheme of things because now you're the first person that they think of when that one deal that fits into our box, hits their pipeline, and then bam, you're the first guy that pops up. That's what I've discovered. That's what's like worked for me, I guess.
Okay.
So, thoughts,
No,
questions?
that's good.
Yeah.
No, I was just gonna say, yeah, you definitely get more out of people when you're on the phone with them more often, or when you're face to face with them more often. Like you said, you're always going to be the one. I'll say one of the first people that they'll think of when it comes to a deal or when it comes for information or anything like that.
No, 100%. And again, you do one deal with that guy, they'll do anything to go find the next deal for you because like, man, if I can just look for what Will or Matt or John or Caleb or Noah are looking for, I know that I have the highest likelihood of getting paid if I only look for these guys' deals. And then that's when the deal flow really starts to crank up because like, wow, this guy he really did do what he said he was going to do and close because I sent him the deal he was looking for. And then it's just like off to the races at that point, that kind of thing. That's what I would think and recommend. Any final questions, thoughts as we kind of get rolling out of here? Make sure we answer everybody, everything like that. Is everyone getting signed up? Hopefully, for those that are able to make it to the event next month, it's almost a month away, which is kind of crazy. 5 weeks.
yeah, I wish I could make it out for this year, but I'm not going to be able to. I'm looking towards next year to come join you guys.
Well, we might have to start doing something then. Don't hold me to this, but if we could do something even every 6 months, that would be kind of fun. I mean, I don't want to, uh, go over the horses or whatever, but that could be kind of cool just to get all of us in person, even if it was in different cities and stuff. So I'm trying to figure out, what is best for everybody, especially if we can. I need to get on the Southwest Airlines, want to get away and say, hey, everyone, $49 flights to Dallas, or hey, wherever we're going, that kind of thing. Get everybody in person, but well, cool. All right. Anybody else got anything as we're kind of moving out again? Please, if you have something else on your mind, I know Zane couldn't make it today, but he'll be available to everybody. I'll be in the office tomorrow all day as well. So if you got something that you're working on or thoughts or questions, call us, text us. You know how to get a hold of us. So sound good?
Sounds good.
Sounds good. Thank you, Nolan.
All right. Thanks everybody. Y'all have a good week. Okay. Call us if you need us.
I appreciate it.
Thanks guys. See ya.